Welcome back to IIMCS 2025. So now we will move on to our last paper presentation. After that we will have another master class for today, and we will have our meet and greet session. We will announce about them later after this session as well. But now we will move on to your last paper presentation, and this is the first one presenting by students of media and communication. Um, so the topic of this paper presentation is gamification as a method of teaching and assessment in media and communication studies. It will be presented by Ms. Anica Hossain, Kaniza Rahman, and Muhesena Nasiha Syeda. Anica Hossain is a master's candidate in the Department of Media Studies and Journalism at the University of Liberal Arts, Bangladesh. Kaniza Rahman Ananna is a researcher filmmaker with double majors in communication for development and digital film and TV production from the University of Liberal Arts, Bangladesh. Muhesena Nasiha Saida is a writer and a computer science graduate from the Department of Computer Science and Engineering at University of Liberal Arts, Bangladesh. And it has been an honor to introduce three of these presenters, because two of them have been my students before during my first year of teaching at University of Liberal Arts Bangladesh. And Anica Hossain is our lead designer for the game Conquest and for all this design that we are posting from this conference. Nasiha, you have met as the host of this event, and Kaniza is their fellow presenter for this project. So let's welcome Anica, Nasiha, and Kaniza.
Thank you very much for the introduction, Miss.
Thank you.
So, hello everyone. Good afternoon, good morning, and good evening for everyone joining us from different parts of the world. It has been great watching all of these presentations and master classes and gaining all of this knowledge. So now moving on to our paper presentation. I am Muhesena Syeda, and I will be walking you through the first part of our presentation. So before that, when we were growing up as kids, I often heard a very common thing told by my mother that playing chess usually sharpens your critical thinking skills. And it was supposed to make you more strategic, making you able to see the bigger picture. But as time went on, we moved on from the era of chessboards to the era of smartphones. And now apps like Duolingo are teaching us languages the same way games taught us strategy once upon a time. So now learning has become more engaging and more fun through these apps. We also came across a lot of different websites. Like for my background in computer science and engineering, I have this reference of a website named BootDev, where you are being taught courses and it is gamified, because as you make progress, you gain experience points, and when you are perhaps making a mistake, you are being punished. So that shift is turning learning into something game-like, and at the heart of what we are exploring today, gamified simulations for real-world readiness. So our study supports the sustainable development point 4, which is the quality education, which not only emphasizes inclusive and future-oriented learning, but also looks at gamified simulations, where we can basically install or basically integrate realistic learning environments that borrow features from games like points or leaderboard system and challenges. Just like Duolingo makes learning language more engaging, gamified simulations can make learning or make our professional training more motivating, helping learners not just absorb information, but actually apply it in the real world. They also encourage critical thinking, teamwork, and adaptability, the same skills we usually need in a professional setting. So now, moving on from the introduction to our overview. So can we move to the next slide? Yeah. So in the overview, what exactly are we looking at? Our main focus was the relationship between the gamified simulations and real-world readiness, but also specifically in the media and communication education. Because as we did our research, we saw the implications of gamified simulations in a variety of fields, but there was also a sort of gap in the media and communication education, which will be covered later on in our presentation. We also wanted to understand the impact and effectiveness of gamification or gamified approaches in preparing students for real world. Because imagine in classroom, we usually go through the theoretical parts or the academic knowledge, but wouldn't it be great if we could actually derive those skills in the academic world and also be able to apply it in a professional setting? And beyond that, we also explored whether gamification could be meaningfully integrated into curriculum so that we can bridge that long-standing gap between academia and industry. That brings us to the core problem. So even though media and communication programs provide strong theoretical foundations, there's still a noticeable disconnect between academic knowledge and real-world competences. In other words, students often graduate knowing what to do, but not necessarily how to do it in a dynamic or real life situations. Because obviously, whenever we are doing it for the first time, we have this nervousness or we feel that, are we doing the right thing or not? It makes us anxious. So we asked ourselves, can gamified simulations help close the gap? Can they prepare students to handle the complex, high stakes decisions they'll face in the industry? To answer that, we conducted a systematic literature review following the PRISMA guidelines to ensure transparency and thoroughness. We began with an extensive search over 14,000 studies, and this was across 5 major databases, including Science Direct, Sage Journal, Emerald Insight, ProQuest, and Taylor and Francis Online. We had some inclusion criteria because we wanted it to connect to the present world. So obviously we looked at the research from the last 5 years, starting from 2020 and ending it in 2025. Also made sure these were all in English and focused on gamification or gamified simulations in education specifically. We also had our core keywords, the gamified simulation, gamification in education, real world readiness, and most importantly, media and communication. And after filtering for these recent and peer-reviewed studies with clear methodologies, we had a total of 30 major literature reviews, which were analyzed for the purpose of this study. So now, after this, we will be moving into the key findings, which will be presented by my team member, Anica Hossain. So thank you.
Thank you, Nasiha. So I'm super excited. This is my first time presenting in a conference, and being a gamer, I very much love this topic. So to begin with, I will be presenting the key findings of our analysis on the role of gamification in education with a focus on how it contributes to the real-world readiness and its potential integration into media and communication studies, which Nasiha pretty much covered. We organized these findings to directly answer our questions about the relationship, impact, and importance of gamified simulation in media and communication studies. So these reviews found evidence that a positive impact exists across diverse fields like engineering, software testing, nursing, medical education, management, and financial literacy. And the majority of studies draw on self-determination theory and flow theory, which highlights how thoughtful game design enhances engagement and motivation. However, while effective outcomes like motivation and interest are consistently improved, the evidence on cognitive performance remains a bit mixed. When exploring the relationships with the real world readiness, the findings suggest a positive but indirect link, and gamifications, they mentioned that gamification strengthens the emotional engagement, teamwork, and deliberate practice, all of which that supports foundational skills for professional success. Yet the results are also cautious us that when poorly designed, elements like leaderboard or badges, it can potentially harm the performance or the motivation of the learner. So thoughtful design is essential. And when it comes to, so how exactly can gamification contribute to media and communication studies? So gamification helps improve non-cognitive skills such as decision making, stress management, and and social collaboration. So for one of the examples I would like to bring in is in medical and nursing education, gamified simulation have enhanced the clinical and ethical decision making and reduced the stress in high pressure environment. This kind of framework can be translated into PR and media training and maybe in fact recruiting system. And I think one of the articles did like specify their focus on recruiting and all. So helping students simulate real world challenges like crisis management and audience engagement is something gamification in education can do. It supports sustained skill development and helps students practice ethical reasoning and communication in stimulated yet realistic environments. Through gamified simulation, it enhances social relatedness and improves the social and practical skills that are beyond memorizing knowledge. When we assess the importance and impacts of gamification in education through all these literatures, from the 30 literatures we decided on, the results were encouraging. Its motivational value is consistently rated as high, with multiple studies showing that it increases student enthusiasm, creates a positive attitude towards complex subjects, and facilitate the integration of soft skills like teamwork, adaptability, and leadership. At the same time, it helps educators achieve their mission of creating engaging and dynamic classrooms. The findings also mention that students and teachers both express positive perceptions of gamification, and also confidence level tend to rise as familiarity with these methods increases. In terms of design and technology integration, studies highlight that a challenge-based mechanic, for example, time constraint and adjustable difficulties, are most effective for sustaining engagement. And researchers even suggested that future designs are encouraged to integrate virtual reality, augmented reality, and simulation-based tools to heighten the immersion. Equally important are the social and personal dimensions of gamification, games that promote interaction, teamwork, and knowledge sharing, and that personalize the experience based on each learner's motivation cluster are proven to be more effective. So overall, the global sentiment towards overall, the global sentiment towards gamification in higher education is highly positive. It's no longer seen merely as an entertainment, but as a powerful educational tool, one that transforms students from passive recipients to more informed into an active participant and all. And they're more motivated in their learning journey. However, one practical challenge remains is that in developing countries like Bangladesh, and one of the articles that was specifically in Pakistan, they mentioned that there is limited access to technology and funding that restricts the teacher's ability to implement these systems effectively. So overall, I feel like gamification, when thoughtfully designed, it can offer immense potential for media and communication education. And hence, I will hand over the floor to Kaniza to discuss more about this. Thank you.
Hello, thank you, Anica. So in my part of the presentation, I'll focus on the limitations identified in the reviewed studies we did and the future research direction that emerges from them, and particularly in the context of gamified stimulation for real-world readiness and in media and communication education. So if we go over the limitations, the first is the methodological limitations. Many studies relied on short term or cross sectional designs, for example, K2P and in nursing education, and Shobel in management training measured engagement immediately after a session, but not its lasting impact. This makes it difficult to know whether the motivation and skills gained through gamified learning actually translate into long term professional readiness. The second one is sampling and context issues. Most of the research, as Anica said, we reviewed came from Europe, about 16 out of 30 studies, while contribution from Asia, Africa, and the Americans are quite limited. But most importantly, there are no studies in Bangladeshi context and very little work in the field of media and communication education. The closest we found was in Asia was in India, Pakistan, and Turkey. This shows a clear gap. Current findings are shaped by European educational settings that may not reflect the realities of developing countries like Bangladesh. So, the future research should focus on context specific studies to understand how gamified stimulation can work effectively in Bangladesh's media and communication programs. Third is over reliance on self reported data. Many papers assessed outcomes like engagement or motivation using student surveys rather than objective performance metrics. This introduces potential biases. Students might report being engaged without necessarily improving in real world skills. And the fourth one is design and implementation barriers. Several studies like Almeida and KOTP highlighted institutional and technological constraints, lack of policy support, limited access to technology, and resistance from the faculty. Even when educators are enthusiastic, outdated systems or rigid curricula often hinder the successful application of gamification. And finally, if we move over to the theoretical gaps, while most research uses self determination theory or flow theory, few explore how these psychological models interact with discipline specific competencies, such as storytelling, collaboration, and ethical decision making in media communication. This leaves a conceptual gap between motivation theory and professional readiness theory. So, if we talk about the future directions in for this field, the first I would like to say that the longitudinal and mixed method research. Future studies should examine long-term impacts, tracking how gamified stimulations are uh, stimulation affect professional behavior months or even years after the intervention. Combining quantitative and qualitative approaches would also help capture both the measurable outcomes and the lived experience of the learners. Second, contextual diversification. Gamification research must move beyond STEM and management education into creative and communication disciplines, where narrative, emotions, and ethics play a major role. Testing models across different culture, institutions, and learner types will help build a more universal framework. Third is adaptive and personalized design. Studies like Jaskari and Shirajalala emphasizes that not all learners respond to the same mechanics. Future gamified stimulation should include adaptive system and adjust difficulty, feedback, or collaboration modes based on learners' motivation and behavior. An approach especially relevant for diverse classroom in media education. Fourth is reflection and metacognition. Finding from entrepreneurship education shows that games often motivate performance but not reflection. Future design should incorporate structured moments for students to analyze decision, reflect on ethics, and link their gameplay to professional practices. Critical elements in preparing for especially media professionals. Fifth, institutional readiness and policy support. Research must go beyond students and include teachers, administrators, and policymakers to understand how institutions can better support gamified learning through training, funding, and flexible curricula. And finally, balancing engagement with ethics. We need deeper exploration of negative effect, burnout, such as burnout, over competition, or ethical manipulation that sometimes emerges in gamified system. Developing frameworks that encourages a healthy competition, collaboration, and psychological safety will ensure gamification remains a positive educational force. So, for my closing remarks to conclude, I would say that while evidence strongly supports the potential of gamified stimulations to enhance real world readiness, the field is still evolving. Future researcher must go deeper and dig deeper and last longer and look wider, connecting motivational theory with real world professional development. For media communication education, this means designing stimulation that are not only engaging and interactive, but also reflective, conclusive, and grounded in realities of creative industries. So this is about from us, and thank you for your time and attention. Feel free to ask us any question if you have. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Kaniza, Anica, and Nasiha. Is there any question for the girls? I would like to ask a question to all of you. What motivated you to be part of this kind of research of gamification in Bangladeshi context? Any of you
Nas-
can answer.
Nasia, do you want to answer that?
I think we can collaborate and answer since we both are gamers ourselves.
You can go first.
So as I also stated at the beginning of my presentation, that we started our journey from chessboards, moving on to Duolingo, and also moving to the era where we have been playing games on computers. It could be even MOBA games like League of Legends that we play even now. And it's also something I saw over time. There was this LinkedIn post about a person who's working in Optimizely, how he connected his journey as a team member in League of Legends and his strategic thinking or team orientation skills, and he has been applying that in his work life as well. So actually from there we had this idea that actually when we think about games, it's usually thought of that, oh, we're just playing games and that's it. But why can we not derive some useful skills from there? Because gaming is not just about experience, and gaming is also about learning things from there. It can be critical thinking, it can be strategic thinking, it can also be team orientation or team skills. And there are many more skills that we learn from gamification. This another aspect that I also watch from a streamer, Dr. K from Healthy Gamer. So he addresses this, that there's this um, like a function where we can take aspects of regular life. So for example, let's say Anica is not a gamer and I'm a gamer. So if we are given a big task in an open-ended world, so she might feel overwhelmed that, oh my God, how am I going to address this? But as a gamer, when I'm playing games, I am being given all of these tasks broken down into small tasks. And based on that, I can progress one step at a time. So from there, we had this idea that, of course, if we can use our gamification skills in terms of education, then it can be more engaging. So that was it from my part. Anika can answer or contribute to the question.
I think Duolingo also contributes a lot to our interests, but not necessarily that. I have been playing games as a professional gamer. I've been playing on teams. So over there, I feel like when I'm playing games with my teammates, a lot of things like communication and teamwork is something that is very important. And I feel like this is a gap that is not actually being looked into. And just like Duolingo, there are other apps. Like I have a very weak vocabulary, and I think the LinkedIn has some really interesting mini games through which you can actually learn few words. And then there's Wordle everyday daily quiz. So from a very young age, I really enjoyed these particular quizzes and then word games and whatnot. I love playing Sudoku. So I feel like these particular games actually helped me learn a few things. And I felt like, why is it not actually integrated into education? I take graphic designing workshops for students for all of different ages. And I feel like when I'm teaching them the technical skills, it gets boring at one point that, oh, they're just listening to me. They're looking at the projector. They're seeing what I'm doing. They're repeating after me. But when I'm teaching them Illustrator tools, there is this website where you can play, you can use those particular tools as a game, and you can learn how to use those particular tools through those gamified ways. So I feel like it's a very interesting way which we can also integrate in our studies. If we look a bit into our the literature that we went through, I think one of the literature uh, mentions about skin at the rate Go Prime. Here, it allows learner to acquire new sets of clinical skills in dermoscopy, skin surface microscope, to detect skin cancer by simulating the experience and examining the skin. So they use this particular app. It's a gamified way where they can learn more about clinical and medical trends. And then there is another one that actually helped during the pandemic, which is PEEP Deploy. It's the development and implementation of a gamified tabletop simulation that exercises the strengthened national pandemic vaccine preparedness and readiness. So going through all these stuff, I feel like it grew my interest even more, especially going through all the papers we went through. It's very interesting to see how it goes. And I feel like being able to develop our own game would be something fun, and I look forward to it. So yeah. Kaniza, do you want to add something?
I have a specific question for
Yeah, sure.
Kaniza.
Yeah, please.
So as you are a filmmaker as well, um, okay, so do you think as a course like now we are working with a game to teach public relations or communication, do you think filmmaking is also a course that could be taught using any method of gamification?
Uh, yeah, I think so. In filmmaking, it can be incorporated, especially how you're visualizing a scene. It can be like if there's a stimulation, and if you prompt them like, this is how I want to see at the screen, and you can play around with how to visualize the mood board, and even the I think it can be done in storyboard. So even in filmmaking, film production, I think gamification and learning through gamification can be something that can be incorporated, especially what kind of lenses you can use. So for example, I have an idea how much I want to see on a screen, but I don't know what kind of focal length I want to use for that specific scene. So if I have a gamified stimulation, a version of how each lenses will show me what kind of scene I'm going to see, and that can actually be very interesting. And the directors and who the filmmakers can have a better understanding about what, like, technological understanding. I guess they will have a better understanding. Yeah,
Thank you so much. So do we expect that when we make a game on filmmaking, you would be in our team as well?
absolutely, absolutely.
Thank you so much. We have some question from the chat box. Um, First question to Kaniza, was there anything particular that caught your eye during researching?
Uh, First of all, what I like, what I was researching, I saw the most of the research paper were based on in nursing the educational sector, like especially nursing. So it was very interesting for me to see that how this kind of um, uh, prompt, uh, where you can how to say, detect a disease or how to act react, you can have a better understanding while you're in the stimulation. So rather than going in actual live action scene and panicking out, you can first panic out in the stimulation and learn from them, and then you go to the real life scene and you have a better understanding. So I think that was very interesting while I was going through the papers.
Thank you so much, Kaniza, Anica, and Nasiha. We have two more questions, but due to time shortage, we won't be able to take the questions now, but we will be answering those to our LinkedIn and Facebook post. Thank you so much to three of you. I'm so proud to see you all presenting today for the first time at a conference and hoping to see many more of that in coming future. Thank you so much.